All right, brother Daniel just wrote to me. Daniel W. I don't know if he wants me to give his name out, so I'm just going to call him Daniel W. He knows who he is. He's a big bastard like me, except he's younger than me. He's only 29. Man, I wish I was 29 again. Anyway, he writes, he's a huge guy, a strong guy. He's benching between 480 and 505, but now he had a pec tear over a year ago. He's got a 662 deadlift. He's a big dude. There's a picture of him here. He's a huge guy. Been lifting 12 years. Anyway, he's married, got a couple stepsons, loves his family. And he's asking, what can he do to work around this tweaked pec? He doesn't want to lose a bunch of size because of it. So Daniel, brother, and he mentions about Facebook. Bro, I was down with the Facebook, man, because not so many people knew about it, even though I invited everybody. And our Gorilla with a Cause Facebook page was an awesome place and a lot of good exchange going on. But right now I'm kind of beefing with Facebook. This shit's crazy, isn't it? It's social media bullshit. So the page is not available right now because we're at kind of an impasse, but I'm trying to work through it. They don't like the name Gorilla with a Cause, the Guerrilla, and they are continually asking me for proof of identification, etc., etc. It's just a bunch of stupid bullshit. I like Facebook, but you know, in the course of my day, I have a lot to do. That's not high on my priority list. Is keep demonstrating to these people who we are. Anyhow, that's not here or there. It's just that's why Facebook's not available right now for us. So Daniel, main thing, bro, is if the pec is to the point where you can push something with it, but you're worried about overdoing it, or maybe it does still a little bit raw. I had a friggin' total slap tear. That was pretty bad. I've had injuries. I used to lift really, really heavy. I don't know what you're after if you're trying to get back to going super heavy. I had a bad injury before and came back and went pretty heavy again after that. Never like my best again. But that's still been years. But now I'm a lot older than you. At 29, yeah, you're probably going to be able to come back from this and still move some weight. If that's, I know how that is. When you push all that heavy weight all the time, you really enjoy that, and it just does something for you. That you like it so much. It just is. It gives you a lot of drive. Just overcoming these new weights and just pushing this iron like that. And it was a total bummer for me when I had to face the reality that I was old enough, it's time to slow down and maybe focus more on quality. Not saying that I didn't have quality before, I did, but I didn't focus 100% on quality. I focused on size, quality, and strength. Whereas today, I have to focus more on quality. Strength is way down there. It's still, I'm still pretty strong. The thing is that even training the way that I've trained now, I do a lot of isolation stuff for like all over, except lower body. I'm still doing typically the same shit that I used to do. But upper body stuff I break the body up, but I have enough development, enough muscle now, enough access to muscle that I can do a lot of isolation stuff. I'm all over it all. And the way that I do the exercises, I've had people comment, well, lift form's bad and all that. Really? Yeah, it's really bad, isn't it? I don't know how to train my arms or my shoulders or my back or my chest or any of that, right? It's just by happenstance that I look like this at this age. Unless it's all gear. It must be all gear. But the way that I perform the exercises, I have a way that I do it that I believe it incorporates or it spills over onto adjacent musculature. And that's why you'll see, the way that I perform things a lot of times, I'll begin to pull back here if I'm doing a curl on a cable. That's why I like cable so much. I'm pulling from here. First, I'm pulling with this delt, front delt, right? And then I'm bringing the arm in, the bicep in. So I'm bringing that delt up. So this is why I get this swing. I'm not doing this super strict because I want that front delt. There's something about it. It's still, I believe it gives you better separation and delineation. It's worked for my body, or maybe it's serendipity, but I do believe that it does. Same thing for like when I do triceps. You know, you'll see me start a movement further back and pull around like this, which is rear delt. And then my tricep with a cable, right? I'll pull first with that rear delt. And I feel it. I'm pulling it with that rear delt purposely. And then the tricep, it just gives me more, I don't know, it just spills over to the adjacent musculature. And I do that on almost everything. I try to do that on almost everything. And I think it's paid off really well. But that's just another sidebar. I mean, you do whatever you got to do, however you come up with it, whatever feels good and works for you. I would say proceed with caution. Proceed with caution is the number one first thing you need to do. You're going to have to forget about the amount of the poundages. You're going to have to put that as not primary consideration right now. Primary consideration is you've got to remain able to function, to provide for that family that you love, and to do the things that you have to do to get through the daily, day-to-day grind. To produce and to earn an income and all these things. You got to stay viable, and you got to stay healthy, and you got to stay in condition to protect that family or do the things that you got to do, right? So you don't want to just, full speed ahead and damn the torpedoes, and at the cost of your health, your physical health for the future, to go ahead and just throw a bunch of heavy weight on an injured body part that's not ready for it yet. So use a lot of moderation and a lot of caution. First thing is be careful and come back slow. If you're going to err, underestimate what you can do. Don't, once you go too far and you experience an injury, as you well know, it's too late now. It's too late to use any kind of moderation because you've already hurt yourself. But if you're careful right now, you can come in under the wire, so to speak. Maybe you could have done a little more today, but you know what? This is more than what you did last time, so that's good. That's all good. Don't if you come back, and what you're doing this week is so much, you feel so much stronger, it feels so much better than it did last week or 2 weeks ago. Be happy for that little bit more and a little bit better. Don't overdo it and say, well, I wonder how much better. Don't do that shit. All right? Just swallow the pride, stuff it down, and focus on what matters, what's going to matter to you and your family, right? And that is be careful. Use moderation. The next thing you need to do is again, humble yourself and just not worry about the weight, not worry about the exercise or the piece of equipment that you find works for you. Utilize what you have to utilize that's going to get the job done, right? If you go into that Smith machine, you start experimenting with it and playing with it, and you find ways that you can still put the stress on areas that have been affected and haven't been able to train for a while and may have atrophied some or whatever, and they probably haven't atrophied much, have they? Isn't that a hell of a surprise? You don't just lose it. Then be happy with that, right? And if you're in that Smith machine and you're this huge guy and people are, you're afraid that people are looking at you thinking, this fucking huge guy, look, he can't lift shit. Don't worry about that. That's not what you're there for. You're not there to entertain other people. You understand? And if they're there to man watch and, they think it's a spectator sport, then what's happening with their workout? So go there and make it productive for you. Productive as defined by, improving your circumstances, your situation. Don't worry about that shit. Don't worry about if you're in that Smith machine or you're using something that you normally would never be seen fucking with. Don't worry about that shit. Do what you got to do for you right now. Take care of that pec. Take care. That pec's been good to you, right? Been good to you all these years? Yeah, it's made you happy. It's made you proud. It's cooperated. It's done what you've told it to do. You've been in control. You tell it what to do. It doesn't tell you what to do. That mentality like I had also. Yeah, okay, so now you got to switch it up a little bit. It's going to tell you what you can do, okay? It's going to be the boss, okay? I used to say, those legs aren't the boss or whatever body part. I'm running the show here. They're going to do what I tell them to do. And I just pile on more weight. I used to move a lot of weight. But after enough injuries, as I got old, and I'm a lot older than you, I had to realize that, no, I'm not the boss because I don't have enough common sense and I'll kill myself. I'll end up crippling myself. My body's going to tell me now. I listen, I serve it, so that it can serve me when it really counts. So those are the two big things. Humble yourself. Don't worry about what it looks like. Do your thing for you. Who gives a shit? When people see me, if I'm going to even do anything risky or heavy, I do it in my garage, man, where I got people that are close to me that love me and got my back, and I know I'm going to be okay. And if anything does happen, I'm in the right environment to deal with it and get to, a medical treatment or help or whatever. I got everybody there with me. I'm not out there on my own. Now, in the gym, right, I'll go in there and I may be doing something more for just quality and a lot of isolation to put the stress, increase the amount of stress on smaller portions so the overall poundage doesn't have to be as much, because it's not so much of a compound movement. I'm reducing the movement and making it more of an isolation movement. Maybe not completely, sometimes completely, but the whole goal is to reduce the amount of weight and still deliver the stress. So if I have to break it up more, right, that's how I do it. So that the overall totality, that muscle still gets, that's the goal, is to try and beat it up without tearing it up. So when they see me in the gym, they may see me doing something of foo-foo bodybuilding kind of shit, and I don't care what anybody thinks. You know what I mean? Now, if they want to come up with some cash and say, hey, old man, I'll bet you X amount of money I can outbench your weak ass. It depends what that number is, and if it's appealing enough in the day that they catch me, I may have to say, you know what? Yeah, I think you might have just made a big mistake, because I'm strong enough to still push it. It's absolutely kept my strength up pretty good. Now, I may never bench 565 again, but it doesn't make any difference. I'm still stronger than most guys. I can still get down there. Even the way that I've trained, I've been surprised how much it's kept my strength up, But there's no point in me getting under there and demonstrating something just at the risk of injuring myself if I'm not going to benefit from it in any other way. Okay, other than just be able to show people I've done it. I have done it before. I've showed people in the past. This isn't the time of my life for that. So that's the biggest thing, is start to explore some of the other equipment and other avenues and find ways that you otherwise maybe would have never considered, and it may not even be the most enjoyable thing for you. You're going to have to learn to love it all over again from an angle, right? Because initially you're probably not going to be stoked about it. You're not going to love it, but it's what you got to do. It's really work now. So you got to do that, and then eventually, doesn't matter how long it takes, it's going to tell you how long it takes. You don't tell it, it's going to tell you. Eventually, you're going to be able to push some weight again. You're still going to be able to do what you got to do. I'm assuming it's probably not deforming. It didn't like snap and roll all the way up underneath or something, or you'd have had surgery. So, George just had a tear in his outer pec, and he's been bringing it back now, and he's actually pushing some weight. We actually did push a little weight last weekend. And he's, up there in the 50s with me. He's late 40s, I think. Might be 50. I think he's late 40s. Anyway, you're going to be able to come back. Just be patient. You can still do your legs. You can still go heavy. You can get that out of the way. Other things, but other body parts. But the injured one, yeah, be really careful with that. And humble up and, treat it with, what I mean, you got to do. You got to massage it or whatever. My brother Steve King introduced me to that electric shock treatment in the muscle, right? One of those little stimulation machines, and I actually like it. It enhances blood flow. So I'm just sitting around watching TV or whatever. It's stimulating blood flow in the shoulder and in this bicep recently, and I think that's a good thing. If the nutrients from the blood's supposed to be in there, then you're getting oxygen and nutrition and stuff to that muscle at a higher degree more often. It's probably a good thing. Flush it out, removing all the toxins out of there. I think it's going to help it some. There are other things you can do, like I've said previously. I tried that BPC 157. I can't really speak to how awesome of a job it did or didn't do, because I was doing all kinds of stuff to baby it. I was massaging it. I was stimulating it with electricity. I was feeding it extra protein at the time to try to heal it. I was trying whatever, and I was being very careful with it. So I'm not really sure. Maybe it wasn't damaged that bad. So I can't really say that that BPC 157, if it had been the only thing I did, then I could say more surely that it was a miracle worker or something. But if you read about it and do your research, there are people who just rave about it. That's probably worth investigating and checking out. I certainly would with a torn pec. So that's about it. Just take care of it, treat it, pamper it, man, and hang in there and be patient with yourself. Be patient with yourself, okay? Don't destroy your body this early on in the game. You're only 29. So chill out, take it easy, and explore the equipment that's out there. Explore other things, even bands and stuff. Whatever it takes, find things. You know what I mean? And the thing that maybe works for me, in your case with your injury, you may not like to feel that. It may aggravate it. Don't do that then. Go on and find something else. Find you some machine, find you something to take the stabilizing effect out of it, whatever you got to do. Okay? Whatever you got to do, man. If you could take the injury back, what would you do? Almost anything, right? Almost, right? Quite a bit. Okay, well, how are you going to proceed from here? However you're able to proceed from here in the future may very well depend on what you do now. What you do now. So, think ahead and treat yourself good. Best of luck, brother.